Here's my challenge, having a sufficient amount of time to rant about Netflix before the camera battery dies, so here we go. I just watched Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Well, really, I watched it a few weeks ago before vacation, but now I'm finally talking about it because it's kind of been in my mind, and this is also kind of just an annoyance I have with Netflix and what they're doing with the idea of expanding sci-fi and doing stuff for Zack Snyder, where it just kind of bothers me that this trend is starting where we're not getting complete movies right on release because Rebel Moon Part 2, like Part 1, does not feel like a complete movie, and not in that way where we're properly leading to a story that's being built with each installment, kind of like a Lord of the Rings or a Dune, but more so in the fact that they're chopping these movies up. Zack Snyder had an idea for a 4-hour movie regarding the characters of Rebel Moon, where it really expands this world and explores the lore of it all. But with that being said, Zack Snyder, I think, really would have, his director's cuts have been justified in the past, so it at least made me curious to see where it would go in terms of getting a new movie from him with a full cut, because it sounded like that's what Netflix wanted to initially do. You'd think being on a streaming service, it would be the opportune time to just let him make a fully fledged out 4-hour movie like he would want to do, instead of asking to chop it up like it was being released in theaters, which it hasn't been. It just feels kind of odd to me, because box office numbers are, kind of the reason movies are chopped up into 2 hours in the first place. You want to get a sufficient runtime in there, but you want to actually have enough ticket show times and all of that, but that wasn't the case here, so it just seemed weird. It kind of seemed like a disingenuous need to recreate the touch of the Snyder Cut and what made that popular. However, the things that brought the Snyder Cut around weren't necessarily good things inherently in Zack Snyder's life. It was stuff he had to go through traumatically. And sadly, when he had to step away for family tragedies, the studio took over and cut up his movie, but they didn't do it with his permission really or anything. They didn't do it and make a vision that, he liked. So he got a chance to do that again. That wasn't the case here. Instead, they were like, hey, we're going to let you make this Netflix movie as long as you make cut down 2-hour versions of them that are PG-13, which just isn't the authentic vision of the movie. With that being said, that reflects all around in this movie. When I was watching Rebel Moon Part 2, I was waiting for characters to really get me into it. I was waiting for the story to engross me, but that's the thing, is like both these movies are so cut up and it feels so disconnected scene by scene that I don't really ever feel like I get time to connect with these characters. I don't feel like I get to know the Scargiver beyond what she is telling me. These movies, both of them honestly, are a lot of tell, don't show, but they also show at the same time. So it feels like it's treating the audience like it's kind of dumb. And I'm curious to know if that's because a lot of story had to get compressed into scenes where they had to be explained rather than shown. Kind of like the idea of like maybe Cyborg's backstory in Justice League. Maybe most of the characters in these movies got that same treatment. I don't know, because we don't have the full director's vision yet. And that's what's really bothersome about these films, is that they're not being released to their full potential. When you have a movie with rushed characters, when you have a movie with so many side plots being threaded out, even though there's such a simplistic core of a story, at its core, it's just a Seven Samurai story. It's about recruiting a team to fight some people coming to take over, and I think that can really work. This movie does wear its Star Wars inspirations on its sleeve, and I respect that, and I like that. However, with that being said, it feels like a lot of the time these cut-down versions are relying on the love of those sci-fi worlds to really leg it up. Not in the sense of copying it, but in the sense of that, oh, I recognize this sci-fi world, sort of. I recognize that this looks kind of like a lightsaber, so it's tangible to that. But you need more than that, and I'm curious to see what that more possibly could be if we get it in the full cut. It's really annoying that I have to keep saying that, though, and I don't think that's a net positive on the movie. I don't want to have to watch a 2.5-hour cut-down version of a movie and then wait half a year to see the actual full thing. I don't want a DLC age of movies. And that's what this kind of feels like, and it doesn't really feel authentic in that sense. I wish we could see a full potential Rebel Moon, but with that being said, the versions we got, they feel rather hollow. They feel like they're empty in character, while they have a lot of great visual style to them. There's a lot of pizzazz, there's a lot of Snyder-isms in this movie. And I'm a fan of his work typically, sometimes. When Zack Snyder's movies really work for me, I really love them. And when they don't, they really frustrate me. And that's what I've kind of noticed with his filmography. And in this case, it feels like this is another one of those cases where it really bothers me, because it just doesn't feel like the story feels authentic. A lot of the character moments in this one get treated like we've gotten this huge build-up, but I forget their names. I don't know why we need to care about a certain character maybe reaching this conclusion or not. And that's really the most bothersome thing about these Rebel Moon movies, is that they don't feel tangible in the sense because they don't feel authentic, because they're cut down. Even at the end of the day, it was under a good agreement or a nice agreement. I'm glad Snyder is making movies he wants to make. That's awesome. Good for him. I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for any filmmaker to get to do that. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm not trying to sit here saying, screw Zack Snyder. It's just more of a case of like, I wish studios and this whole trend I hope it doesn't become bigger. And that's my fear, is that if these movies, so far they don't seem to be being successful commercially or critically or audience-wise, but if this continues to happen, it'll be a bothersome trend in other movies that I just don't want to see happen, and I hope it doesn't. But overall, I don't know. What did you guys think of Rebel Moon? Did you enjoy this movie? This wasn't really a movie review, but more of a rant on what's going on with Netflix, what they're doing, and just overall the bothersome stuff they're kind of doing. And I don't know. I just hope it doesn't become too big of a trend. I'm curious about the Rebels Moon director's cut. I'm tired of making excuses for Zack Snyder movies instead of just enjoying them for what the full potential they could possibly be. And I don't feel like we got the full potential here. It's a very rushed movie, these two films. The fact that they're divided into parts 1 and 2 doesn't really help that case. With that being said, I don't know. I hope it didn't bother you, Snyder fans who love him. And I like his movies sometimes too, but overall, what did you guys think? What did you think of Rebel Moon? Did you enjoy it? Thank you for watching Scargiver Reviews. I have a few more reviews coming to you soon. I'll see you next time. Thank you.